Heya Cryptozens, tonight's show. Voyager files Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Uprise loses 99% shorting Luna. Genesis 3AC Contagion confirmed. It's 10 p.m. Pacific time. The date is July 6th, 2022. Welcome back to the Crypto Overnighter. My name is Nick, and I'll be your host. The cover model, mascot, and co-host for this podcast is Tex. And together we take a nightly look at the crypto, NFT, and metaverse space and the industry that surrounds it. So take a minute, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast now, because we're here at 10 p.m. every night so that when you leave in the morning, you're taking with you the crypto news analysis that you need to start your day. And keep in mind, nothing in this show should ever be considered financial advice. Disclosure time. I am a Voyager customer. I have some Luna on Voyager that they've never let me transfer off. So there's that. Late Tuesday, Voyager Digital called it. They threw in the towel, announcing that they'd filed for voluntary Chapter 1 bankruptcy protection. They said that they've already started the restructuring process, and this restructuring process is supposed to be there to make sure that their obligations are met for their both creditors and customers. Now, they put their filings through in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court for Southern District of New York, and they announced that through a press release. They said that the filing is intended to, quote, maximize value for all stakeholders. Stephen Ehrlich is Voyager's CEO, and he said, quote, this comprehensive reorganization is the best way to protect assets on the platform and maximize value for all stakeholders, including customers. Voyager's platform was built to empower investors by providing access to crypto asset trading with simplicity, speed, liquidity, and transparency. And then he went on to talk about how he still believes in the company and the industry. He was also pretty clear about where he lays the blame. He calls out, quote, contagion in the crypto markets over the past few months and the default of 3 Arrows Capital on a loan from the company's subsidiary, Voyager Digital LLC, require us to take deliberate and decisive action now. The Chapter 11 process provides an efficient and equitable mechanism to maximize recovery. According to Francis Coppola, nearly half of Voyager's assets were in its loan book. 60% of that loan book was devoted to 3 Arrows Capital. In the meantime, they claim to have over $110 million in cash and crypto assets, which is not a lot of money for an exchange. That's a pretty thin operating budget. But they're going to need that money to keep going while the bankruptcy happens. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Now, beyond that, Metropolitan Commercial Bank has an account, a for benefit of customers account, an FBO account. Now, an FBO account lets a company manage a relief fund for their users, a benefit fund in case something goes wrong. Like if you're suddenly short $650 million because a major customer defaulted. So you can manage this emergency relief fund without having to maintain legal ownership. So they've got $350 million in a for-benefit account. They've also got roughly $1.3 billion in assets on the platform, obviously using that as a non-starter. Oh yeah, and they've got a $650 million claim against 3AC. And they're not forgetting about that one. Now, I'm sure they're not going to get anything, but they're going after them anyway. They said they are, quote, actively pursuing all available remedies to recover its funds from 3AC, including court proceedings. So these are the kind of assets that they're working with here. Chapter 11 bankruptcy is different from other kinds of bankruptcy. It's not a fire sale. The government isn't seizing everything and then hauling it off to auction. With a Chapter 11, a company can still continue operating to a degree. They still keep working while they're undergoing the restructuring process. And they're operating, sure, but not as they were before. No trading, no deposits or withdrawals, no rewards. So it's a very limited thing. 3 Arrows Capital has also filed for bankruptcy in the British Virgin Islands, but that's a different kind. That's a Chapter 15. So the plan here is for customers to get their account access back. That means customers with crypto in their accounts get access to a combination of their holdings in crypto, some money of whatever they get out of 3 Arrows Capital, some stock in the newly reorganized company, and Voyager tokens. If you are hodling dollars in your Voyager account, different story. You get your money back after, quote, reconciliation and fraud prevention process is completed with Metropolitan Commercial Bank, that for benefit of customers account. Now, as I said at the top here, I am a Voyager customer. I don't have a lot on the platform, but it's not nothing. I'm interested to see what's going to happen, because one thing to keep in mind, always account for the SBF factor, Sam Bankman-Fried, because between his personal holdings and Alameda Research, he has a lot of money invested, more than all of the other institutional investor types combined. Sam won't let Voyager die. In fact, Sam is their second largest borrower after 3AC. I'll be interested to see what he does, though. The market is up a bit today overall, bits of red but mostly green. At the time of writing, the global crypto market cap is at $921 billion. It's up 1.39% in 24 hours. The top 5 cryptos by market cap are Bitcoin up 0.81%, Ethereum up 3.58%, Tether, USDC, and Binance Coin up 2.72%. In my day job at the Fiat mine, I'm an IT professional. So it is through that lens that I'd like to remind people that the first letter in AI stands for artificial. Artificial as in not real. You'll see what I mean here in a minute. Uprise is a Korean startup, a virtual asset finance platform. It got its start by attracting large-scale investments in the domestic venture market. And so it came to pass that the local media reports that their AI wasn't so intelligent. They have something called Heybit. And Heybit is a, quote, robo-advisor. It's a trading product that caused them to liquidate nearly all of their assets because it lost a bet. Interestingly, the AI lost while trying to short Luna. It was shorting Luna in the futures market while the whole Luna network was crashing. That's right. As Luna was tanking in early May, Uprise was tanking right along with them. They were failing at shorting a falling coin, and that cost them around $20 million in client funds, 99% of their assets under management. Remember how this started. May 7th, USTD pegs. It loses parity with the dollar, and that sparks a black swan event that saw Luna's price drop from around $77 per coin to statistically zero, all in the course of about a week. And a lot of people got hurt. $40 billion worth of wealth just evaporated from the crypto market. Now, it could be argued that $40 billion of value was never really there because there was some shady stuff going on. And all that shady stuff is why units like 3AC, Babel Finance, and Celsius went under or they're facing serious liquidity issues. That's not what happened to Uprise, because unlike 3AC and Vault and CoinFlex, Uprise wasn't going long. They were buying and hodling, no. They were placing long bets, no. They were shorting Luna. They were expecting Luna to go down. And down Luna went. Apparently too fast for the AI to predict. So they kept missing their short calls. Now, it is not expected that this is going to cause the same volatility issues as a 3AC or a Celsius. Uprise claims that their investors are high wealth, high income earners, and professional investment corporations. They say that they curated their customers with an eye towards selecting those who had a solid understanding of virtual asset investments. And Uprise has plans. They signed a memo of understanding, and this MOU was signed with Hana Bank last April. They were setting up to cooperate in the development of virtual asset financial services. That said, they have a bigger issue. They're not registered. Yeah, they didn't report themselves as a virtual asset service provider, or a VASP. Uprise says that they don't fit the criteria because they don't collect money and they don't invest in virtual assets. So that's a problem because Korea enacted legislation last September requiring exchanges and other crypto firms to register as virtual asset operators. However, an Uprise official offered a bit of hope for their customers. They were discussing the potential for a compensation fund when they said, quote, "It is true that damage to customer assets has occurred due to unexpected great volatility in the market. We plan to finalize the report on virtual asset business soon. The global NFT market cap is down over 12.95%. Sales volume is down 1.14% in 24 hours. According to CoinMarketCap, the top 5 NFT collections by sales volume are Other Deed, followed by Bored Apes, Mutant Apes, CryptoPunks, and Moonbirds. Now, keep in mind, some of these collections have very volatile prices, so do your own research. Michael Morrow is the CEO of Genesis Global Trading. Today, he confirmed what many had suspected. Three Arrows Capital was the large counterparty. They were the ones that failed to meet a sizable margin call back in June, and that forced the liquidation of their collateral. Now, Genesis is the digital currency group's market maker and lending firm. Hundreds of $millions in losses, 9 figures in losses. And at the time, it was suspected that these losses were, at least in part, due to toxic loans. And not just Three Arrows Capital. Babel Finance is involved here too. Now, Babel is a lending firm as well. They're operating out of Hong Kong. And back when things started to fall apart, we reported that they were pausing withdrawals due to what they called, quote, unusual liquidity pressures. But it was primarily the collapse of 3AC. Same story as many firms in the space, especially exchanges and lending vendors. It seems like 3AC was borrowing money to loan out to other people, cycle over and over and not telling anyone. Now, at this point, it's hard to say just how much we're looking at. Hundreds of millions of dollars. It's a bit more complicated, especially since Genesis was trying to get money loaned out. People owe them money, and they need that money to pay off their creditors. Until that party versus counterparty balance is figured out, it's hard to come up with a final tally. And they presumably have their own hedging to protect themselves. Genesis has been pulling people's credit lines, though. They need to keep that capital in-house right now. Michael Morrow released a statement. He said, quote, as we already stated on June 17th, we mitigated our losses with a large counterparty who failed to meet a margin call to us. We sold collateral, hedged out our downside, and moved on. Our business continues to operate normally, and we are meeting all of our clients' needs. They started the year with over $44 billion in loans. That comes from a press release. Given that the collateral for those loans, typically crypto, this crypto winter surely plays havoc with their collateral. The collateral people are defaulting on isn't worth what it was when they borrowed it. Their parent company was providing them with a war chest of about $1 billion to help out with this economic downturn. That same press release indicates that they had another record quarter in derivatives trading, 33% quarter-on-quarter growth, $27.8 billion in one quarter, $11.4 billion in spot trading. I think they're going to be fine. That said, Genesis has been playing it pretty close to the vest. They don't want to give out exact numbers, but they had to admit that the bear market was hitting them pretty hard. They said, quote, carefully and thoughtfully mitigated our losses with a large counterparty who failed to meet a margin call with us. That comes from Morrow. That was in a series of tweets about 4 hours ago. And in this thread, they reveal that DCG, quote, has assumed certain liabilities of Genesis related to this party's to ensure that we have the capital to operate and scale our business for the long term. In addition, we are pursuing all strategies to recover any potential residual loss. So it looks like Genesis is probably going to survive. Their reputation and their bottom line will take a hit, but I think they're probably going to live to lend another day. And that's going to do it for us tonight. I want to thank you, my listeners, because when you stop listening, I'll stop talking. You stay safe out there. Watch out for yourselves, but watch out for each other too. We'll see you tomorrow night.